Back to a new class. My name is Bilikis. I'm so sorry it's been a while. That is because I'm putting some things in order, but I'm back now with lovely videos. So just make sure you are subscribed to the channel and also to the pattern drafting channel. Make sure you put on the notification bell so that you get notified each time we put up a video. So please check if you are still subscribed and your notification bell is on. So in today's class we'll be making a simple dress with bow in front, and trust me, it is very easy. So you need about 2 yards of fabric to make that. It is a short dress, and it will be finer if it is a short dress. So now, to determine the amount of fabric I'm going to need for this video, all I have to do is to consider the hip measurement. I'm making for a small size, and our hip measurement is 34. That is the circumference around the hip measurement, 34 inches. So all I have to do is to divide that 34 inches into 4, which should be about 8.5, and then just add extra 3 inches or 3.5 to 4 to each. So that is what will determine the wideness of the dress. So since that's 8.5 divided by 4, when you divide by 4, 8.5 plus 3, that should be 1, 2, 3. So that's 11.5. Then maybe for my seam allowance, I will make it just half an inch, or if you want 1 inch, just add it to it. So if I had half, that will make it 12. So this 12 should be times 4. So I need 12 times 4 should be about 48 inches. So 48 inches, you can just add extra 2 to make it 50 inches. So the amount of fabric I will have here should be 50 inches to be on the silver side. So this is it. Can you see I have 50 inches? So all I have to do now is to divide or to fold into 4. So first you fold equally. At this stage, you should know the length of your dress. So the length of this dress is going to be 40 inches or even shorter than that, depending on your preference. Then for your vertical measurement, you need half of your armhole measurement and also your vertical underbust measurement, that is from the nape of your neck to your underbust, and then the length of the dress. So vertically, half of your armhole, underbust measurement, and the length of the dress. Right now, I folded the fabric as I told you to. So the length of the dress should be inserted with your seam allowance. Then the vital measurement I mentioned was half of your armhole measurement, as is 7.5. Then on the bust measurement, which is 13 inches. In that case, you could even add like extra half an inch to the on the bust length. You can do that, or just use your actual half of or just use your underbust measurements from the nape of your neck down. So these are the line. This is the starting point, half of the armhole, the underbust measurement, and the length of the dress. So the first thing we are going to do is the shoulder slope. So you mark 3 inches. And then 8 inches. At that point, I'll come down by 1 inch. The slope has been formed. The next thing will be half of the shoulder measurement. Our shoulder measurement is 15, half of that is 7.5. You mark on both half of the armhole measurement and the beginning here. So that's the armhole line. So the next thing now will be to insert the bust circumference. Our bust circumference is 34. Divided by 4 will be 8.5. So for ease, if you want it to be free, you can just add extra half an inch to it to make it 9. So that is it. Then for seam allowance, I can just add half or 3/4 depending on your preference. Let's just make it 3/4. Just half is fine. Good. Then I'll come to the underbust measurement here. So our underbust measurement is 28. When I divide that by 4, I'm going to have 7 inches, which I'm also going to add ease of 1/2 inch to make it 7.5. And then 1/2 inch seam allowance. So then to the end of the dress. So there you will need your hip circumference. Our hip circumference is also 34 divided by 4 will give us 8.5. So just add extra 3 inches to that. So 8.5, so 1, 2, 3. So that is 11.5. Then plus the seam allowance we added, the half is going to be 12. So I have to move the fabric upward. As I've said, the divided hip measurements, which is 8.5 plus extra 3, that makes it 8.5. Then plus seam allowance, that makes it, divided hip measurement is 8.5 plus 3 inches, that makes it 11.5 plus 1/2 inch seam allowance, that makes it 12. I'm going to mark that here. So the next thing I'm going to do is to connect it up. At this region, you can just, I don't want it to just be straight. You can just use your free hand at that point and then connect it straight to this point. That. At the hem, I'm just going to come up by 1.5 inches here. So that is going to be trimmed up. So having done that, let's quickly come back to the neckline. So for her, I will just make it 3 inches by 3 inches. So it depends on your preference. If you want it tight or wide, that totally depends on you. 3 inches and the depth to 3 inches. So that is it. And for the back, because we are cutting both the front and the back together, the back will just be either 1 inch or 1.5. So I just do 1. Like for myself, I can make it 1.5. That's it. For the armhole, just get the midpoint. This is 7, that's 3.5. Come in by 3/4 inch, that will be for the front. That is the front armhole. Then the back will just be this way. So that is it. We've added seam allowance to the side and also to the hem. So the upper part here, you just had 1/2 inch to the shoulder to be able to sew it up. You're going to be cutting the back first. The back can either have a zipper or a loop. If it's having a zipper, you can either cut it the same way and infuse the zipper into it. Maybe one of these days I will do a tutorial on that, or just make sure the back is longer by 1 inch. for the zipper, but for this I will have a loop at the back. So we are cutting the back neckline armhole first. So the back armhole. Hold on that. Let me see what it looks like. And I'll remove one for the back. And finish with the neckline and armhole. So we cut out your sleeve. So now we go back to the back to make the slit, and then we cut out the facing. So for the back now, we need the loop. The length between 5, 6 is okay. You can even make it deeper. It totally depends on your preference. So this is 5. Make sure you already make a crease with your pressing iron. So that is the back. Let's quickly cut out the facing. Just get a fabric and put that on fold. Make sure you still have a lot of space after the slits, because we are still going to add about 3.5 inches to that. To do is this. Good. So from the slit here, I'm going to mark it on the facing. The slit has to stop there. So I'm going to slit from here down here, but before then, let us just quickly mark 3.5 inches for the facing. So here I can make it 4, and from this marked point, add 3.5. Like, then the slit here. And you see that the facing has been done. So the same thing will be for the front. So I've placed the front on another folded fabric in the same way. I'm going to measure 3.5 inches all around. So the facing for the front is also formed, so we can start sewing it up now before we fix in the bow. The next thing we are going to do is to sew it up. So the bow is going to be the last thing we'll fix. So I've pinned this up, as you can see that. So all I will do now is this: join the shoulder 1/2 inch, also here 1/2 inch. After that, we'll now also join the facing. Make sure right side are facing each other. And I'm also going to join this 1/2 inch. So by the time I join it, I will now have to use it to turn the neckline and the loop area. So that is all. Then you fix in a tiny loop. The next thing will be to fix in your sleeve and then sew the side straight down. So that is it. Looking at it, I've sewn it up. I'm sure it's looking so small here because I'm using a small size measurement. So the sleeve has been added. You can see the loop has been fixed here. I'm using a lightweight fabric. So I would advise you use something thicker, like medium to something heavier. It will look nicer. Duchess, Mikado silk and all that, depending on the fabric you have at hand. So all I'm going to do here is to use hemming glue to stick down this neckline too. So that is it on that, and then attach the sleeve and sew it all down. Then another thing I want to tell you is this: looking at this, I would advise you not to add more than 3 inches to the extension of the length of the dress. So for instance, if you want it shorter, like the one on the thumbnail is shorter, so it should be about 32 or so. So just imagine you having this wideness at this point, so it's going to be wider. Can you see that? So by the time you connect from the underbust, it will be somewhere around here, which will be wider. But if this is longer, and I will also advise you not to do more than 3 inches, or else it will look too big at the knee area. So that is that. So the next thing we are going to do now is to fix the bow at the lower part of the dress. So all I did is to just cut out few fabrics. So this is it. So all I did is to measure 10 inches by 8 inches. Can you see? Unfold. So this varies depending on your size. Like for myself, I might be doing up to 12 inches by 9. Why is that? Because for me, this lower part is going to be wider than this. So it depends. So you can always put your measuring tape to know the amount. Here I have like 20, so half of that will be 10. So by the time you sew it by the side and place it here, you still have a little space in the middle. So I haven't done that, so I have to cut out 2. This is the right side facing each other. So I'll take to the sewing machine, just close this side up, close this place up. Also come in here, so you leave about 2 inches just to bring everything all out. Then looking at the other fabric I cut out here, that also has to be 2. So the length is just, let's say, 5 inches by 2.5 inches, because that's going to be folded this way. So this is the wrong side. Just sew it up here, just sew it 1/4 of an inch down, and then we bring it all out. So that's how we are going to sew that up, which I'll do now. Right now, I'll bring out the bow fabric, and I've sealed it off. You can see what I have. So, and also this one too, I have to sew it or bring it all out and make sure this same line is in the middle and give it a good press. So all I did now is to put this in and just sew it down. Can you see that? So it's easy. Just put it this way, fold it in, and then sew it up this way. So make sure it's a bit tight. So after sewing it up, then you can adjust it to have something like this. So just after sewing it, then you can now adjust it. If you want your bow bigger, fine. If you want it just this way, it depends on your preference. So this is what we want to have here. You see, and by the time we fix this, that will be here. So if you want it bigger, wider, it depends on your preference. So what you do next is to take needle and thread and then tack it down. You make sure this part is inward. Like this, I'm still going to trim it off. So you make sure it is inward this way, and then you just tack it only to the front. Let me see. You can tack from the back so that everything just stays in the back. Let me see. You just tack it down. So by the time you tack this point, you come to this very one. I'll do this next. So you come to this very one, tack it down, do the same thing to this, and that is all. Right now I fixed the bow to it. You can see that. So in case you want it bigger, wider, that totally depends on your preference. So you now have an idea of how to make your own beautiful dress. So just tack a button here, and that's all. So if this tutorial has been helpful, please give me a giant thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I remain your girl, Bilikis. Bye.